offseason news has certainly been anything but boring, especially when it comes to the quarterbacks that are getting paid. And one of the latest QBs to put pen to paper is Tua Tagovailoa. The Dolphins and Tua agreeing to a 4-year extension worth about $212 million. That deal includes $167 million in guarantees and averages out to just over $53 million per year. And our CBS Sports HQ training camp tour continues. Our crew is in Miami live from Dolphins camp, where Tua just got paid and he's having a pretty good time, taking the mic at practice on Sunday to deliver a message that was more of a celebration, if you will, saying, "Show me the money," to the crowd, and it was met with large cheers from the audience. Tua, entering his 5th year with the Dolphins, led the NFL with over 4,600 passing yards last season, earning his first Pro Bowl selection and certainly getting paid. Let's get out to our crew, the dream team, if you will, that is in Miami Gardens at Dolphins training camp. That's Evan Washburn, Charles Davis, and Pete Prisco. Gentlemen, Tua getting paid, you mentioned it, 4 years, $212.4 million deals, and that is kind of the price of doing business with an NFL quarterback these days, Pete. But what are the vibes around training camp and everybody there with the team amidst this contract with Tua, Pete?
Well, everybody's glad it's behind them. Anytime you get your quarterback signed to a long-term deal, it gives you a little bit of peace. But when Tua yelled, "Show me the money," maybe they should have yelled back at him, "Show me some victories over teams with a winning record." I mean, he's 1-6 last year against teams with a winning record. You have to be better than that. But I understand paying him. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't in this league. You have to have that quarterback. What do? Go back in and start all over again? So I get it. I understand it. But there's a lot of pressure on him now.
Yeah, and CD, I am struck by the fact that when we are standing out there looking at this roster on both sides of the ball, this is a team that's built to win right now. And look, they had injuries down the stretch last year that led to basically them falling apart down the stretch. But this isn't a team that can look at that quarterback position and think, "Oh, we'll deal with that later." They need someone in that spot right now. And as Pete laid out, they have to pay him now so that they can be the team they want to be in the back half of this season, and actually make a run at this thing and try and win a playoff game for the first time since 2000.
And the flip side to it is for Tua, he's in the ideal situation. He's in a place where this offense fits him, fits his talents well, the people that he can throw the football to, the people he can hand the football to. This all works perfectly. So, yes, glad he got the money, but this was the place to get the money with Mike McDaniel as the head coach. So it all came together. Pete talked about it. Darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. Evan just mentioned you have to have it if you want to be a playoff team. It's the right move for the Dolphins. But I think GMs around the league are still like, whatever happened to the best quarterbacks getting the money and it works down? Nowadays, it's when your number's up, the money moves up. So that's where Tua is.
And quickly, there's no market for quarterbacks that have yet to prove it. You're either at the bottom, whether you're a Gardner Minshew, somebody there, the stopgap, or you're getting top-of-the-line money. There's no middle ground, and I think this is a great example of it.
Certainly, it feels like it is all about the timing, especially when we're looking at the list here. Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Joe Burrow right above Tua. CD, you mentioned this offense fits Tua, and of course we think about the fastest wide receiver that is out there in Tyreek Hill, and you're looking at the numbers. He's most likely the next big get, the next contract that will be done by the Dolphins here. Evan, what do you think that deal is going to look like for Tyreek?
Well, look, right now he's in a situation where he's still one of the highest paid wide receivers. And to the point we just made, it's a timing situation. And I thought Tyreek Hill lent some good perspective to this out of the gate at training camp when he was asked, basically after the wide receiver market exploded this offseason, about his contract being restructured. So at least on the average per year money, he's up at the top, if not at the top. And look, he's going to let Drew Rosenhaus do his thing. But he made the point, Pete, don't do what you did in Kansas City because I don't want to leave. So he wants to be here. You have to imagine they'll figure out a way to do whatever's necessary to make it look right in whatever proverbial salary rankings they want to do.
And we were watching practice today. There was a go ball, and he went and got it. And he's one of the few guys in this league that could go get that. That's why you pay him. But you got to be careful with it because he isn't a young kid anymore, and speed is his game. So you have to be careful. But I'm in agreement with you. He's going to get a long-term extension. They will make him among the highest paid receivers in this league again.
Yeah, there's no question about it because of what they have. And let's face it, the Olympics are going on right now, Jacqueline. The Miami Track Club, would compete with any country out there. So that's why they're going to go ahead and make sure he's taken care of, and they continue to roll on offense.
Hey, Tyreek Hill, Noah Lyles going head to head. That would be some good television. Evan, you mentioned that this team is ready and it's built on both sides of the ball to win. But let's talk about the defense, because there have been some changes there in terms of the DC. It's Anthony Weaver now who's stepping in for Vic Fangio, left after one season. And there's some big playmakers on defense in Miami that are dealing with some very serious injuries. CD, what do you think this defense is going to look like under Weaver here?
Well, I think this defense has got a chance to be very, very good. In fact, after the practice today, we ran into Raheem Mostert, the running back from Miami, and all he wanted to do was glow about the defense and what they have here. Yes, you have to get Jalen Phillips back. Yes, you have to get Bradley Chubb back. Yes, Chop Robinson has to come out and play well. We were talking about Mo Camara, fifth-round pick from Colorado State, who can rush the passer off the edge. He may get some looks early until Chubb and Jalen Phillips are ready to go. But I think this defense under Anthony Weaver may go to the secondary a little bit, be a little more secondary specific with Javon Holland, who I think is ready to break out and be a big-time player. He's made no secret of the fact that he's glad Vic Fangio isn't there anymore. He loves Anthony Weaver. I think Anthony Weaver could be used a lot, Javon Holland could be used a lot like Kyle Hamilton is used in Baltimore and could have a real breakout year.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because, Pete, we were talking to Mike McDaniel before practice today, just kind of catching up on training camp, and spent most of the time talking about the defense. And he made the point that this group now, under the direction of Anthony Weaver, a guy who he actually coached to some degree when Weaver was a player with the Texans, and he made the point, this defense, this style, this scheme, it matches what they do offensively, the illusion of complexity. And look, there's been a turnover at that position, DC, here in Miami the last few years. So there is a sense, look, this is the season of hope right now. Everybody's optimistic. But, Pete, that this group, if healthy, if Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb can get back at some point in that first four-game stretch and be who they were last year, that maybe they're going to match the standard that the offense has set.
You know, when we look at the defense, and you mentioned Phillips and Chubb, you know, they're not going to be this great defense until those guys get back out there. And I love Chop Robinson. I think Chop Robinson is going to be a star rusher down the road, but he's a rookie, and that's going to be tough to do early on. They went out and signed Ogba back. They had problems with him last year. He wasn't very good at rushing the passer, so they have to get those guys back. But you're right, when they get him back, boy, you had Calais Campbell, big body into that defense as well. I think they're going to be better on that side of the ball. It just depends. The one cornerback position, you have a little bit of Fuller, he played well, but is he going to be able to do it? What do you do in terms of their linebacker group? They weren't great last year, so there are questions, but I'm in agreement with you guys. I think the defense, just because of the style change, will be better.
Yeah, the illusion of complexity, meaning everyone has these assignments they can handle up front. All the window dressing you put behind it to confuse an offense, but everyone has their assignments down. And last but not least, Jacqueline, Anthony Weaver is defensive coordinator. Calais Campbell signed with Miami specifically because Anthony Weaver was defensive coordinator, not for the money. He could have gotten more money elsewhere, because Anthony Weaver was there. That's a big endorsement from a big-time veteran.
Absolutely, a huge endorsement. And Pete, when we were talking about Tua saying, show me the money, you said, hey, show me some playoff wins. And Miami is certainly looking to end that drought, trying to prove they can win in the big moments against good playoff teams. But when you think of Tua and both sides of the ball, defense, offense, all the playmakers, Pete, where do they stack up in the AFC East when you think of Josh Allen and the Bills and, of course, a healthy Aaron Rodgers and the Jets that are in the division?
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that doesn't think the Bills' window is shut. I still think in fact, I think they're going to be a better football team than they were a year ago. In large part because the offensive line will be better. They've started playing really well at the end of last year. They ran the ball, different style of offense, took the pressure off Josh Allen. I think they're the team to beat in the division. And I think the Jets are second. I think this is the third team in the division. There's a lot of questions about this team. We just mentioned a bunch of them. I mean, the pass rush, big question. Offensive line, can guys stay on the field? You know, Armstead hasn't played full season in his entire career. So I think those are all the questions that kind of hang over it. I think they're the third team in the division.
And CD and Pete, I agree with you, but I would say this entire division is defined by mystery and question. Yeah. Because as much as I would agree Buffalo, especially offensively, has the potential to be more dynamic this year, until the players, especially on the outside, can prove that they're ready to do that over the course of an 18, possibly 20-game season, you can't really put your money on it. The Jets, similarly, outside of Aaron Rodgers. To me, Miami on paper, which we love talking about right right now, CD, has the most that I would feel good about. How it all comes together and how it all stays healthy, to me, would be the concern at this point. But I do believe I'm of the thought that until somebody takes it from them, and that would be Buffalo, what it is, the last 4 years, then it's their division. But Miami's capable of doing it.
Remember, Miami had a 3-game lead with 5 to play last year, and Buffalo reeled them in and beat them here in Week 18, right, to go ahead and win the division, and that set Miami on the road to frigid Kansas City instead of having a home playoff game. So that has to change for them. But Evan teed it up so perfectly. Mystery in question. Mystery in New York. Will Aaron Rodgers stay healthy, and will the offense match what their defense is? Mystery in Buffalo. Can Josh Allen be like Patrick Mahomes and make lesser players better around him, which I think he's at that time of his career that he can. And I have to tell you, I'm in a total agreement with Pete right now. You have to still beat Buffalo. Evan said the exact same thing. People may write them off. I think you're wrong if you do that. It still runs through Buffalo, but the Jets are there, and Miami has their chance. I'll just say this. If not now for Miami in this division, when? Both of those teams are vulnerable to an extent. You have to go get them.
Yeah, it's been almost 25 years since they've got a playoff win, but it's certainly going to be a fun one with Tua, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Looking forward to it. Pete, CD, Evan, Washburn with an update from Dolphins camp. We appreciate it, gentlemen. And, of course, you can watch the NFL on CBS starting on September 8th. Dolphins and Jags in action on CBS in Week 1. And, of course, you can always stream all of that action on Paramount Plus as well.